Let's be brutally honest, kindness, by itself, is not enough to survive, let alone thrive, in this world. If you think just being a good person guarantees success, you're living in a dangerous fantasy, and deep down, you know it. How many times have you been walked over, used, or ignored despite doing the right thing? The truth is, the world rewards strategy, not just virtue. And if you don't learn the rules, you'll always be a pawn. Stay tuned, because we're diving into the Machiavellian secrets to wielding intelligent kindness and reclaiming your power. You've been taught that being good is enough, that honesty and nobility are rewarded. But take a hard look around. Does reality reflect that? The world doesn't inherently reward the good, it rewards those who understand the game and know how to play their cards well. This is where the often feared, often misunderstood wisdom of Machiavelli comes in. Machiavelli understood something fundamental that most people ignore: human nature is often selfish, fickle, and, when necessary, ruthless. In his infamous work, The Prince, he made it clear that virtue without cunning is weakness, and goodness without strategy is a trap. Now, be honest with yourself, how many times have you fallen into that trap? Think about those you admire, those who have achieved great things. Do you really think they got there only with good intentions? No. They got there because they knew how to move strategically, sometimes in the shadows, because they understood that morality isn't always a shield, sometimes, it's a tool. Knowing when to show it and when to be pragmatic is the difference between being a player and being a pawn. The problem isn't that you're good. The problem is that you haven't learned how to protect yourself with that goodness. You assume others play by your rules, but they don't. The world is full of predators disguised as friends, opportunists who spot naivety from miles away. And you, without realizing it, have likely been the perfect target. This is where Machiavelli offers an alternative: intelligent kindness. It's not about becoming a villain or betraying your principles. It's about understanding that kindness must be paired with a deep understanding of reality. It's about learning to read people, foresee their intentions, know when to trust, and when to keep your guard up. Machiavelli famously stated that it's better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. And you, what have you chosen? Likely, you've chosen to be loved, accepted, seen as harmless. But what has that gained you? Not respect, not power. What you've gained is the knowledge, in others' minds, that they can use you without consequence. Because kindness without strength doesn't inspire admiration, it inspires pity, or worse, exploitation. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you to stop being good. I'm telling you to learn how to be good without being naive. Understand that the world rewards the shrewd. True virtue isn't submission, it's the ability to balance ethics with pragmatism. Machiavelli taught that image is everything. It's not just what you are, but what others perceive you to be. If you give the impression of being weak, they will treat you as weak. If you project strength, they will treat you with respect. Think about it, how many times have you allowed others to disrespect you out of fear of losing their approval? How many times have you stayed silent to avoid conflict, only to lose more in the long run? Share your experiences in the comments below, let's learn from each other. It's not about cruelty, it's about strategy. Knowing when to act, when to speak, when to retreat, when to stand firm. Kindness is an advantage when used correctly, but unchecked, it becomes your worst enemy. The mistake of many good people is thinking the world values purity of heart above all else. It doesn't. The world values power, security, the ability to make tough decisions. Kindness is only respected when accompanied by authority. If you have no perceived power, your kindness is often irrelevant. Machiavelli would tell you not to be a lamb in a world of wolves, not to let your morality turn you into a slave. True virtue is intelligence. It's not about passively adapting, it's about shaping the environment to your favor. How much longer will you let the world walk all over you? How much longer will you be a victim of your own well-intentioned naivety? Start being good in a way that benefits you. Learn to move strategically. Know when to smile and when to show your teeth. The world isn't fair, but you can learn to play by its real rules and still remain true to yourself. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach you to be evil, he wrote it to teach you how to survive. Are you going to keep living in the illusion that kindness is enough, or are you ready to start applying true intelligence? And this brings us to a crucial concept that very few truly grasp, the perception of power. It's not enough to be strong, you have to appear strong. It's not enough to have intelligence, you have to project it. Because in this world, reality often matters less than the perception others have of you. How many times have you seen an incompetent person go further than a talented one? A manipulator rise while a noble person remains stuck. This is no accident. People don't follow the good or the just, they follow the one who seems to be in control, who manages their image, who projects authority, who acts as if they have the answers even when they don't. This is where many good people fail. They believe truth speaks for itself, that competence will shine through. But the world doesn't work that way. It doesn't reward those who are right, it rewards those who know how to sell their version of the story. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. Perception is everything. An insecure leader doesn't inspire confidence. A worker who doesn't make themselves noticed won't be promoted. A person who doesn't project value won't be desired. The key is mastering the narrative about yourself, controlling your image, creating the right impression. It's not about deceiving, it's about directing attention to what you want others to see. In any social interaction, people perceive reality through filters, assumptions, prejudices, emotions. Are you letting those filters play against you, or are you using them to your advantage? If you're good but seem weak, they'll treat you as weak. If you're just but seem soft, they'll trample on you. If you're talented but seem insecure, you'll be ignored. The art of perception separates those who control their destiny from those controlled by others. Here we enter a darker, but necessary, area, the control of information. Why do the most powerful always seem to know something others don't? Why do they always seem to have an advantage? Because they know when to speak and when to stay silent. Naive people believe absolute honesty is always a virtue, that sharing everything is right. But information is power, and you can't give away power without consequences. Machiavelli advised hiding true intentions, not to be a liar, but because revealing too much makes you vulnerable. Learn to control what you share. Say only what's necessary. Maintain a certain mystery. Make people wonder what you really think. The moment you become completely predictable, you lose your strategic advantage. The greatest players understood this. Strategic silence is as powerful as speech. Think of someone you admire with real influence. Do they expose themselves completely? Or do they always leave something in the shadows, always have a hidden card? Many confuse transparency with weakness. It's not about lying, it's about controlling the information flow to your advantage. How many times has speaking too much hurt you? How often have you trusted the wrong person with information that was later used against you? Share your cautionary tales in the comments, we can all learn from these mistakes. Power isn't in speaking more, it's in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Here's a lesson few apply: the one who speaks the least, explains the least, often commands the most respect. Why? Silence creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates curiosity. Curiosity gives power. If you always blurt out your thoughts, people lose interest. If you always explain your actions, people assume you need to justify yourself. But when you speak only when necessary, choose words carefully, leave room for interpretation, people pay attention. And this connects to another fundamental concept, the art of unpredictability. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. If others can anticipate your responses, emotions, and decisions, they can use you. But when you're unpredictable, when people are never sure of your next move, you become dangerous. And when you're perceived as potentially dangerous, they respect you. Machiavelli understood this. A leader read like an open book is weak. A leader who maintains mystery, changes tactics, defies labels, that is the leader who stays in power. Do you want to keep being an open book for anyone to manipulate? Or do you want to start being a strategist who controls their image, information, and unpredictability for their own benefit? Kindness without strategy is an invitation to be devoured. Learn to play by the rules that really exist. Now, let's explore something even more subtle, the art of strategic distance. Many believe power means always being present, always making yourself noticed. But often, the opposite is true. The one who is too available loses value. Scarcity creates desire. Absence creates impact. Why do some people command respect just by entering a room, while others struggle for attention? It lies in the perception of their value. Machiavelli warned against becoming too accessible, not out of disdain, but because excessive familiarity destroys respect. When you're always there, giving without measure, people take you for granted. This applies to relationships, work, life itself. Give too much, become disposable. Always available, become a resource, not a person of value. Have you ever given everything, only to feel unappreciated? Been there for everyone, only to be ignored when you needed help? It's a painful, common experience. Share your thoughts below. It's human nature, what is abundant is often despised, what is scarce is valued. Learn to regulate your presence. Dose your attention. Manage the perception of your availability. Don't always respond immediately. Don't be within everyone's reach. Make your absence noticed. Make your presence weigh. When you learn to disappear at the right moment, people will start seeking you. Most fear disappearing, fear being forgotten. But the brutal truth is, if your only way of being remembered is by always being there, you were never truly valued in the first place. Those with real impact know how to handle silence, when to withdraw, and when to reappear strategically. They show up when it matters. And this brings us to a critical key, emotional control as a tool of power. Here is where most people utterly fail. They believe control comes from loudness, aggression, imposing their will. But true mastery, the kind Machiavelli understood, is in the absolute control of emotions. The one who loses control, reacts impulsively, is carried away by anger or anxiety, that person becomes predictable, manipulable, and weak. Think about the last time someone made you lose your cool. The moment you got angry, the moment you reacted without thinking, who had the power? Not you. It was the other person, the one who threw you off balance, who provoked your reaction. Because the one who controls your emotion controls your actions. The key is this, the one who cannot be provoked, who maintains their center no matter what, that is the one who truly has power. In any discussion, negotiation, or relationship, the one who maintains emotional control always wins. Because the one who controls their emotions controls the perception others have of them. Machiavelli was clear, act with coldness and calculation. It's not about not feeling, it's about not being a slave to what you feel. It's not about being a reactive animal. Apply this, and you become impenetrable. Others may try to provoke you, but if they can't move your center, can't predict your reaction, they lose control over you. The ones who dominate are not the strongest, they are the ones who remain calm while everyone else loses their head. And this leads us to the final key point, the power of strategic patience. Most people want immediate results, success now, respect now, power now. But what Machiavelli taught, what the great players applied, is that true power belongs not to the impulsive, but to those who know how to wait for the perfect moment. The world is full of people who rush, act without thinking, make decisions without considering long-term consequences. But those who control the game know how to wait, observe, calculate. Think of a hunter, they don't shoot at the first movement. They observe, measure, wait for the prey to be in the exact position. Only then do they strike. This is the game of power. It's not always who moves first, but who moves at the right moment. Machiavelli said fortune favors those who know how to adapt. It's about knowing when to accelerate and when to slow down. Mediocre people act on impulse, strategists wait for their opportunity. Are you one who rushes in, or one who waits for the moment to strike with precision? Reflect on this and share your tendency in the comments. In this world, power belongs to the smartest, those who master perception, information, distance, emotional control, and strategic patience. Apply all of this, and you stop being a victim of the game and start being a true player. The world remains ruthless, but now you know how to play. But here comes what truly makes the difference between survival and domination, the ability to become an anomaly in the system. Now you know, kindness alone isn't enough, perception is everything, emotional control is power, patience beats impulsiveness, scarcity increases value. But what good is knowing this if you keep acting like everyone else? If you want different results, you must become someone who doesn't conform. Rewrite the script. Most people think within imposed limits, follow the same patterns, react as expected. But those who leave a mark, who change the game, are the ones who dare to be unpredictable, to play by new rules, to do what no one expected. Here's the big secret, the world is designed to devour those who conform. Do the same as the rest, get the same results, mediocrity, being forgotten. The only way to win is to step out of the mold. Be the one who acts differently, who doesn't react as expected, who always has a hidden card, who is never completely understood. Be the one whose word carries weight because it isn't cheap. When you learn this, something changes. You realize you were never weak, just playing with the wrong strategy. People ignored you not because you weren't worthy, but because you never projected your value. But now you know. And knowing this is dangerous, to the status quo, because the moment you apply it, there's no turning back. When you start controlling your presence, your image, managing information, using silence as a weapon, the world will react differently. Those who ignored you will pay attention. Those who underestimated you will wonder what changed. Those who manipulated you will fear making a move against you. Because you are no longer the same. You understand how the game board works. Here comes the most important decision, are you going to apply this or return to ignorance? What separates those who thrive from those who fall behind is not knowledge, it's action. You can let this information float as an interesting idea, or you can start implementing it. The choice is yours. But be warned, if you go backward, you do so knowing you're choosing to be invisible, ignored. Or you can start changing now. Small movements. Small trials. Apply mystery. Control the urge to overspeak. Respond calmly. Retreat strategically. Observe silently. Small actions that, over time, transform the perception others have of you. Small actions that, when you least expect it, will have transformed you into someone who can no longer be ignored. The world doesn't remember those who just existed, it remembers those who knew how to play the game. Are you ready to play? Are you ready to move beyond naive kindness and embrace intelligent strategy? Are you ready to stop being a pawn and start shaping your own destiny? This isn't about becoming ruthless or abandoning your values. It's about understanding the world as it is, not as you wish it were, and equipping yourself with the tools necessary to not just survive, but to thrive while remaining true to your core principles. It's about making your goodness effective. If you've made it this far, you understand the gravity of this message. Prove it. Leave the phrase, "power is in the silence," in the comments below. Let's see who truly grasped the essence of strategic mastery. And if this video challenged you, if it made you see things differently, subscribe, because this is just the beginning of exploring the real rules of power, influence, and self-mastery. See you in the next video, and remember, don't be another player in the system, be the one who writes the rules.